Ready. Stand by.
Hi, I'm John, one of the creators of LASR. LASR stands for Laser Activated Shot Reporter, and it's an app that allows you to get instant feedback on your shot placement and time to enhance your dry fire practice. LASR works with any phone, tablet, or computer and utilizes webcams or built-in cameras to watch your targets. LASR also works with any laser trainer, such as laser inserts for your real firearm or training pistols.
Go!
You can use nearly anything as a target, including picture frames, printouts, or targets from the live range. And you can use as many targets as you want.
Left. Right.
LASR provides feedback on where you hit
Miss.
and how fast you were. It also offers a wide variety of features and modes, with more being added with regular updates and improvements.
Correct.
LASR is extremely flexible, allowing you to practice how you want, when you want, where you want. Use it to stay sharp between range sessions, and use it to practice things you can't do at the range. But hey, you don't have to take my word for it. There's already thousands of shooters just like you using LASR to get more value and fun from their dry fire practice.
Shooter ready. Stand by. Reload. Shooter ready. Stand by. Threat.
Chest. Circle.
Fire.
LASR networking allows you to connect multiple devices together to provide synchronized controls and feedback. This can be used for multi-directional or multi-room shooting, such as complex courses of fire or shoot houses. LASR networking is simple to set up and easy to use, and it works on any device.
Miss.
Use it to practice for the next match, or turn your house into a multi-room training scenario. The possibilities are limitless.
from a really loose car in qualifying, having some pretty good speed, but we were honestly really, really good. Definitely a top 5 car. The 97 was handling really well. I'm hoping for a really good run. I feel like we have a car that can run up funnel today, and if we just continue to make the right adjustments and make the right moves, I think we'll have a good shot of ending up up front.
Hey Sam, how you doing this week?
Doing good. How are you, Ben?
You ready to go into the weekend?
Yeah.
So tell me about your week. Was it a long one, an eventful one, or did you have some excitement this week?
No, just we had some family in town and stuff, so that always makes things busy and trying to wind down from that, but then we're ramping up into baseball season for the kids, and so it's lots of phone calls and trying to get practices lined up and all of that stuff.
So besides being at the office, are you coaching now? You actually ended up coaching a little league team?
Yeah, so I'll be coaching one of my son's baseball leagues this year. It's only about a month long.
Gotcha.
It's just kind of the basic fundamentals league. So
how long is your season going to be this year?
It's only going to be for the month of June. We'll play
Okay.
2 nights out of the week, but
Okay.
So
Well, it sounds like you have that. Plus, what's next week? We're actually going to be down in Houston, so you're probably heading down to our neck of the woods, past Dallas, down to Houston to go to the NRA convention, right?
Yep. So we'll be rolling down that way to hang out with the crazy Texans.
So if the folks wanted to meet the face with the voice they've heard on the phone, or phones, I guess, would they come down to Houston, right? And I guess our booth. What is our booth number? I forgot.
I think it's like 4833 or something like that.
Oh, there we go. So visit us at the NRA annual meeting, booth 4833. So yeah, it's going to be next week. I think it's starting Friday. The doors actually open for the members, and then it'll go on all until Sunday. Then we're clearing out of there come probably Sunday evening, and then we're heading back up north Monday. But yeah, sounds like you have a busy week. We've got to get Kath and I have to get prepped as well, and then we're going to haul everything down there. So we'll see you down there.
Yeah, it'll be great. I'll wear a mask so people really can't see my face.
No, we don't. We're not wearing masks, man. We're done with that stuff. Don't
Well,
start it up again.
no, I meant like costume Halloween mask.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about wearing those surgical face masks or like a NBC mask or something like that I did for a while.
No, those are hard to breathe in.
I
get
got you.
claustrophobic in those things.
Okay. Well, let's do this. Usually we do about 15 minutes of questions that came in during the week. But I thought there weren't really any major ones that came in, and I think there's stuff coming in from NRA, and we'll probably talk to people there. But I thought we would do maybe 1 or 2 questions that came in this week that were pretty common, and then we would just do a quick demo, or even just say, here's how you can get into Laser X and start shooting DryFire practice right off the bat. It's not that complicated. In fact, it's designed to be super simple, and that's why it can be run off of iPhones, laptops, whatever computers you want. But let's do that. Any big questions that you recall from this week, or any questions that kind of stick in your mind?
Not really.
Nope.
Not a whole lot. There is one we still kind of get frequently, and we've touched on in the past weeks, is kind of that reinstallation of Laser Classic. And this question that producer Kathy put up, I have Laser Classic, but got a new computer. Can I still use it? Absolutely. If you have Laser Classic, just make sure. If your new computer is like a Mac, then you might have some issues, unless you want to run the parallels in boot camp and then go that way. But if you have a new Windows computer, you would just install it the exact same way that you installed it the first time, or you can shoot us an email real quick, and because it might be a while since you've downloaded the software and don't remember how to do it. So you could just shoot us an email and we'll shoot you out your license information, and then you could just download it straight from there on your new computer.
Sure. Right. And in fact, I think this last week I've talked to 2 people. One was Larry, the black bearded cowboy. I met him with Don Gula over dinner one night. Producer Kathy and I did, and he has a laser station. And another gentleman called in and said he has laser station as well. Is that license still good, or can they use it on the same station if it's working, or is it out of date? And if it is, can they put it on a new computer? And it sounds like it's a lifetime license.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's a lifetime license, and those stations, that's where it does get a little bit different. So say someone has their station. So when we used to build those stations, and I was the one that primarily built them, I would install the software for them. So the only thing they did was register the software. They didn't know what the license key was, anything. So if you have a station and you're wanting to move it off to a computer, then you will need to contact us and let us know what email you use to register that software to. That's the way we're going to find that. So,
Okay.
and then I can shoot it over to you, and you can download it on your computer, and it'll be just fine.
Okay, and so it's just basically like we would just regenerate the license. They would just get an email, download the installer file on their new computer, and they're up and running again after they run it.
Right. Mhm.
Okay. Okay, good deal. Now, there was a variant of that question that came up to say, hey, let's say, for example, I have Laser X or Laser Classic. Or let's say they started with Laser Classic. So these guys have had it since 2014. They've been around for a while. And they want to move to say, hey, can I upgrade to Laser X? Well, just to be clear, Laser X and Laser Classic are two different programs. They're not a migration path. In IT, we talk about migration path, meaning that this version is around and now a new application or version is out there. So it moves you automatically or you end up migrating that version. No, Laser Classic is a standalone application. It runs on its own. It's still being sold, and it's a separate product from Laser X because Laser X has its own SKU and it has different features. So they're not migration paths, but clearly you can run them on the same computer if you wanted to. It's just that just because you have Laser Classic doesn't mean you automatically move to Laser X, because Laser Classic is not going away. It's still there. It's a valid program.
Right. Yep. There's not going to be any, kind of trade-offs or anything. Generally speaking, you get the same training value out of them.
Absolutely.
It's just the peripherals, but they're separate products.
Right.
And
I think we did an episode earlier kind of going over some of the differences between that. But if you have questions, if folks have questions over, hey, again, what do I need for Laser X versus Laser Classic? We can answer that question. There's also a page on the website that talks about the two differences. So if you had any questions off the bat, that's a good reference to go to. But we're always happy to talk with you. Okay. Well, let's do this. Anything else you wanted to hit on that came in during the week? Because you're kind of the tip of the spear when it comes to people calling. Sometimes I'll be brave enough to pick up the phone and answer a call, and producer Kathy will answer some tickets as well. And we get different questions that we run to the developers. But anything that you want to talk about?
No, I mean, I think nothing comes to my head. Off the top of the head, I think
You want to play with some fire today? Let's because I'm known for trying stuff on the fly. It's not always good. It makes producer Kathy cringe. It makes my other kids cringe. So the thought was we could do this. We wanted to go and show Laser X, and that's what we'll show here. And how someone, let's say you bought Laser X or you want to do training, you cashed in on that 30-day free trial. How difficult is it to do a training session in Laser X or a DryFire session? Well, we're going to try to do it live. I mean, is it fairly complex, Sam, or you think it's pretty simple?
Nah, it's pretty simple. I mean, and the danger of doing anything live is you might hit a hiccup, but we're going to show you how to fix that. So it's all going to be learning one way or the other.
There you go. And the thing is, it's the internet, so you never know what to expect with the internet. It could plug up on us. Frontier or Fios can go down in any moment, or Windstream on your end. So let's roll the dice. You want to see that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Let's try it.
So what we're going to do, I'm going to fix up the room here just a bit. I'm going to come off camera. And producer Kath, if you want to just run a promo video real quick, or Sam, if you want to talk about anything, I'm just going to step off camera, change a few things around so we can actually move in here, and then we'll get up and running here. Okay?
Okay. Yeah,
okay,
sounds
bear with
good.
me here.
Yeah.
Ready. Stand by.
Hi, I'm John, one of the creators of LASR. LASR stands for Laser Activated Shot Reporter, and it's an app that allows you to get instant feedback on your shot placement and time to enhance your dry fire practice. LASR works with any phone, tablet, or computer and utilizes webcams or built-in cameras to watch your targets. LASR also works with any laser trainer, such as laser inserts for your real firearm or training pistols.
Go.
You can use nearly anything as a target, including picture frames, printouts, or targets from the live range. And you can use as many targets as you want.
Left. Right.
Laser provides feedback on where you hit
Miss.
and how fast you were. It also offers a wide variety of features and modes, with more being added with regular updates and improvements.
Correct.
Laser is extremely flexible, allowing you to practice how you want, when you want, where you want. Use it to stay sharp between range sessions, and use it to practice things you can't do at the range. But hey, you don't have to take my word for it. There's already thousands of shooters just like you using laser to get more value and fun from their dry fire practice.
Don't worry, we're not going anywhere. We're just getting some stuff set up.
Okay.
There
So
we
I
go.
moved a few things around. Can you see me okay, Sam?
Yep. Sure
Okay,
can.
so again, this is really all impromptu. In fact, let me kill one of the lights behind me. It might make it a little better. So if we have this set up in a room here, and we wanted to do some quick dry fire, so the idea is you can do it conveniently in a small space. Part of the things is you want to get the feel of being out on the range, but you don't always have a 25-yard lane you can shoot down on. So we use different size targets, and we'll actually use a smaller room so everything's to scale. So when someone wants to log in to, say, LaserX to begin with, and I'm going to share my screen here. A lot of folks probably have seen this before. And tell me when this shows up. Let me know if you can see that okay.
Yep.
All right. So we usually tell people, and I think you're used to it as well, we tell people the way you log into LaserX is via the website. If you look on the top right of the website, we see this orange button, right? LaserX login. And when you click on there, it will either take you to one or two things will happen. If you don't have a license yet, or let's say you have one of our starter cards, it'll ask you for that key, or it'll ask you to enter your email address to get registered. If you're already logged in and you're already registered, it'll just immediately take you into the application. And you'll get in this landing page here where it'll show a couple of videos. And I'm going to get down on my knees. I'm going to shut off my camera here. And I think you could, actually, I'm going to come down here so there's a little more space. So what we're going to see is we're going to go into done. And the application automatically starts hunting for a camera. If you have any type of camera, it's going to find it here. And you just need to pick the one that's looking at your targets. So what we did in this room, Sam, is we went ahead and set up a camera. We did a Logitech Brio. So we're doing a webcam. And we're using it to look at a green screen so that there's not a lot of other things behind it. It's not distracting. So we'll just go and do this. And you can leave. We usually recommend what? Standard recommendation on the resolution to start with?
That's the recommended one to always start with. I mean, if you've got a pretty powerful device, going to higher performance isn't a big deal. But if you start seeing like shot detection issues or things like that,
or real laggy and stuff like that. Okay. Now keep in mind, the higher the resolution, the more pixels the computer has to analyze, and that's why Sam is saying, hey, if you have a pretty powerful computer and it can handle the analysis of the targets, it's not a problem. But I'm going to start off with a standard recommendation, since that's what most folks will play it safe with. And if you notice the screen here, the views change. So we'll hit done, and automatically, besides seeing my bald head, the program will try to identify, if you notice that, when we came in, it'll try to identify the targets. And it'll come up with several different shapes. So let me see if we can do this without me getting in the way of the camera. And the reason it does is it has some machine learning and AI capability. So here we go. Without me drawing or dragging anything around there, it identified certain shapes. It obviously picked me up here and said, okay, maybe he's an object. We'll take that off. So you select those and hit delete. But you notice there's a square around a square. And what you're going to see here is the main target, and then there's something, what do you call this, Sam? A backdrop?
Is that backdrop.
And tell us give us a little idea what the backdrop does compared to that.
So the backdrop's primary purpose is to catch any near misses off the target, because sometimes you'll shoot and it's real close, like a perf hit, is sometimes what they call it.
Right.
But I always equate the backdrops to being like a backstop in baseball behind the catcher. Okay. So if the catcher misses it, backstop's going to hit it, catch it. So that's just going to denote whether there's a near miss. It also, another thing it does is it keeps the shooter from accidentally or intentionally cheating, and if they're like, say, coming out of the holster and they're swiping up on target, if they pull that trigger too early and that laser's still on as they're coming up, which that would go into a whole nother set of things probably to discuss. But if they swiped up and say the shot initially landed outside of the target and went up into the target zone, without that backdrop zone, the software is going to see it as a hit because it saw something on the target zone. That backdrop zone would catch that and stop somebody from dragging the shot onto target.
There you go. And it's a good way. I mean, if you want to know how close you came to hitting the target, especially if we're in a circle or an ellipse, it's a good way to see how close you were, so you can identify. Otherwise, if it's outside of the backdrop or there was no backdrop in this green area,
Right.
it'll just not register anything.
Right.
Okay, so let me do this. I'm going to go back out. We're going to choose a higher resolution camera because I think we can juice it up just a bit. I'm going to hit refresh. So we're going to a higher res camera, or a higher resolution on the camera, and the picture becomes a little clearer. But remember, now it's going to analyze more pixels. I'm going to clear this all, and we'll do it one more time. So you click on the screen, and it's going to try to identify shapes and targets. So if you're aiming or looking, using your camera to look above a fireplace and you have pictures or candles or anything like that, it's going to look at those shapes and think, hey, maybe this is something Ben wants to use as a target.
Yeah, and one thing to note is that the auto targeting is not going to be foolproof.
Right.
So you can see, like, Ben, because your targets are so different in color than the background, it's easier for the software to identify those targets. But say you had white targets on your white closet walls back there, probably not going to find it. I mean, you can see it didn't even try to outline the squares on the doors or anything like that. And it's not entirely foolproof. There's been times where I've done the auto targeting and I had a soda can in the view of the camera, and it picked it up and was like, okay, well, this is, close to the shape of a target he would probably shoot at, but I'm going to be drinking out of that. So, there's things that might outline, and in that case, if it outlines more than what you need, you just do what Ben did and individually select what target zone and then click delete. If you hit that clear all button, it's going to wipe everything out.
Correct.
And then you're starting back over again.
Right.
So
in that case, now we have 3 target zones. You notice even this IPSC target, it treated as a square, and we can show you something about that later. But I mean, essentially, the computer did all the work. You logged in with your password and ID, you chose your camera, you made sure it's looking at your targets, and it found the targets. So what we'll do is we'll just go into shooting. There's a few things here, though. We're just going to go into this first menu because this is really the only thing you probably need to touch if you just want to get started. It's the shot timer menu. So if you're familiar with a shot timer like you have on the range, it's going to be very similar. If not, it's just a couple of settings here. What you'll see is we'll leave this on automatic, or we can choose timesheet. Now the prep command is just, we'll have a voice here to say shooter ready, stand by. So you're not just hearing a beep and you're shooting right away. It gives you a chance to prepare. So we'll just choose one of these audible commands. And the start delay, it gives you a random start. So the moment you hit start, last thing you want to do is burn some of your time by putting down the mouse and aiming at the target. So we're going to give us a start delay between 2 or 3 seconds. And that's really all we're going to look for. We're going to do shooter ready, so it gives us a command, so we're listening for it. And we're just going to do a delay for 2 to 3 seconds. Those are the only things besides the timesheet that we touched. Now here, we'll just click on shooting, and I'm going to step out of the way while it's doing that. And it's now going to lock in those targets that it saw earlier, and it's going to calibrate it for lighting in the room. And Sam, I think it turned out okay, right?
Yeah, it turned out fine. So, and that was one thing I wanted to point out earlier. If you were watching it when you initially kind of started up the software,
sure,
and you said, I need to turn off this overhead light. Because we've been around the software so long, we knew that might cause a problem. So that overhead light could create hot spots. But you can see for the most part, your target area is pretty calm and consistent in the lighting. You can see as you move from viewing it to the left of your targets, you're going to see it gets brighter and brighter. And I'm willing to bet with almost 100% certainty that you have a window on that side of the room. So, but I mean, here, I don't see any orange spots, which is what the software will denote is seeing something that's too bright. Right. So it looks pretty good there. Another thing I wanted to point out is that we had a chat from Dumpling Gang And they ask, can we use one backdrop for multiple targets, or do we need a backdrop for each individual target? And that's a really good question. So that can vary based on the size of your targets in the field of view of the camera. I generally recommend that you just outline each target with its own backdrop to keep that pixel count smaller, because if you have, say, 6 targets spread across, and that backdrop zone then starts taking up close to that 50% or more of your screen mark, you can start seeing lag and delay, like shot delay times and stuff like that. Not necessarily in the timesheet, but you're going to shoot it and then it'll show up. So you'll see that lag and stuff. So I always recommend, and my personal practice is to just around each target put its own backdrop zone.
Right. But what you're asking there, Dumpling Gang, you can definitely do that. And I think your mileage will vary because it depends how powerful your computer is in handling the processing, because it's looking at those shots. So if you do one big target, if I were to do something like this, technically, yeah, I could probably do this as one big target. But now my computer, when it looks for the shot, it's going to get bogged down because it's trying to look for a laser hit on any pixel within that space.
Right. And your camera's far enough back that, say, you could put one backdrop zone around all 3 of those and it would probably be just fine. But again, your camera's further back. If it was any closer, then you're going to start noticing probably a much, I guess,
a bigger lag or delay, I think you would see.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's do this. I'm going to step back and let's do this. If producer Kath wants to change the view, we could do that. I'm going to go ahead and lock this back down. And if she wants to, she can change the view so it's looking in a different direction back towards me. We could do that. And I'll try this here.
Yep.
So what you have there is looking at the targets. Remember, we did a start delay and we also did a prep command. So what we'll do here is I'm going to hit start. And I'm going to have the cert. Well, I'm using a cert pistol today. You can actually change the start, use a cert pistol. I'll hit click start. I don't know if you're able to hear that. Were you able to hear that, Sam?
Very barely, but you will have audible.
Let me turn that just
commands.
back up. Let me turn that up just a bit more. So let's see if we can do this again.
Shooter ready. Stand by.
So basically, we set up the targets, let the computer run it, and it took the shots. So I didn't see producer Kathy swing the camera around the other way, but that's okay. What we can do here is I'll do it again, and if you notice, I'm using a cert pistol, and I'll do this. And if you notice, also on the diagnostic dial, you're going to see where the shot hit in relation to the center of the target. So I know there's some programs out there that will actually say, here's where your shot went and how you broke it. So this diagnostic target gives you an idea, 1, where the shot initially went, and 2, I think, Sam, for a couple of milliseconds afterwards, how the muzzle of your laser actually went. Would that be correct?
Right. Yeah, it will. So the orange dot is going to be the where the shot landed in relative distance to the point of aim. So on your targets right now, by default, it's set in the center. You can adjust that within the software. And then the white lines are movement after trigger pull. Now on yours in particular, looking at this, and I've seen this happen a couple times, it looks like you handed a 2-year-old a piece of chalk and told him to go ham.
It looks like a zipper, right? It looks like a zipper.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That'd be a good one. So it doesn't mean that you actually moved your muzzle back and forth like that, but you can see the general trajectory. And the reason why it kind of looks like a lot of scribbles is because there's, much like water, lasers can kind of splash when they make impact. So that's kind of what's happening right now. And that can be based on laser color. It could be target type. It could be how close you are to the target. There could be a lot of things that do it. But even with that, at the end of the day, you can still see that you pulled up, to the left, and then you went up and kept going. So you can still get a general feel.
I'll do it again because, again, laser. So I pulled it up. I think you can see me on the camera. I actually pulled it up because I think, to your point, Sam, because laser actually sees the laser or where your shot would have gone, as opposed to, I know there's some systems out there that kind of guess based on the movement or I think that's kind of what it does, or senses the movement. Laser is actually looking at the light when it hits your target and how the muzzle moved a couple of milliseconds afterwards. So it's dependent on how clean that laser is that's coming out of your trainer, the type of camera, or you could use a laser cartridge the same way. So it depends on the light source and how clean it is. But typically, you can see the trend of the movement this way.
Yep.
Right. Because in fact, if I were moving, I can actually shoot and move or run and shoot at the same time, and it'll still pick up those shots on those targets. And that's something we usually do on the networking side. But I'll do it a couple of times again. In fact, I'll start from scratch. We'll do it like we did before. We'll come in here, and now that I'm standing back here, I'll just do a login. It'll take me straight in. We'll do done, and we're gonna find the camera. There's the Brio, and I'm gonna click on this. Oh, okay, so it's already there. I'm gonna hit done, and it's gonna automatically try to find those targets. And this is where the computer is going to do some of that machine learning and see what it picks up there. I'm going to put the SIRT pistol down here. And so, okay, it picked up those same targets again, no issue. And then we just went into the shot timer to give us the prep command. You don't even have to use one. I usually like to hear it because I like Clint Macro's voice here. We'll do a start delay of 2 to 3 seconds, and then we'll go and hit shooting. The system's locking in those targets it identified, and then in a couple of seconds the targets will turn blue, and if the target lighting is good, there's no orange on there, I can actually hit start and restart, and we'll get an idea. So I'm going to
Shooter ready. Stand by.
So there you go. Now if I were to show the use of the backdrop, if I were to hit on the edge, let me see if I can do that.
Miss.
There you go. That's where it's a near miss, as opposed to being completely off the target. That's going to be a complete miss. The system's not looking for that, so it's not going to even register a hit. But if you were going to use backdrops, that's how useful backdrops are when it comes to that. Okay. So I mean, how long did that take to get into the system? Once you're registered, once you log in, I think from start to finish when we logged in on that one, not even a minute and a half, 2 minutes to get up and running.
Right. Yeah. And granted, yeah, we've been doing this for so long that it's pretty simple. But even if you just get it today, let's say, and then you're setting it up, once you kind of have everything initially set up, and then you're just kind of doing target sounds, like most of the time it's 5 to 10 minutes at most. You know, it's not anything crazy.
And, you know, I'm going to turn the camera around here. I just took it off. I'm going to turn the camera around here, and we're going to do one more. It's going to be a little more complex. I always like to end it with something a little fancier. And this is where sometimes it causes people to cringe and say, oh, how bad is this going to be? But you guys have seen this before. And I'm going to go into the system again. You've seen this target. It's the Scholastic Action Shooting Program. And the reason I bring it up is last week we sent out a question to people to say, hey, if we were to do this for some of these other regulated matches, I think there's something like a Steel Challenge, there's IDPA. I talked to a gentleman from USPSA, and there are some volumes of strings of fire or setups that people actually use for, I think they're called not qualifier, classifiers or qualifiers. There's a way to practice for those. In this case, Scholastic Action Shooting, and you've probably heard me go through this before, actually has 8 standard, I think 7 standard stages. We're going to do the substitute stages here. But for example, some people might want to say, how do I train something like this? I have a poster. I don't have targets on the wall. Can it work this way? Definitely. So what you're going to see here is I'm going to clear this all out, and I'm going to get the camera lined up so we can actually get a decent view of it here so it's not wonky. And then the same way we came in here, we'll just hit the center of the target. It's going to try to find targets. And as Sam pointed out earlier, depending on how powerful a computer is, it's going to take time to look for the targets or the common shapes you might be interested in. So it's running right now. Now, you notice it did a pretty good job. In fact, it only missed one. And Sam, I think there's a limit of 20 total backstops and targets that you can lock in. Is that correct?
Yeah, so total of 20 target zones. But yeah, it looks like it's allowing you to go up to, I think that says 15, and each one has its own backdrop. So, but up 20 is the limit there.
Right. So I mean, here you see, and we were talking about this earlier. It identified certain shapes. This was a circle. It identified it, and it says maybe that's a target you want to use. In this case, it's not. So what I did is I just went and selected them, like this one here. I selected and hit delete it, clean it up. And this one target, since it didn't pick it up, I'm going to go ahead and draw it in here.
And that's as simple as clicking and dragging as if
Right.
you're highlighting something in an email or something like that. You just select the shape you want and then you click and drag and you'll start to see that appear.
Right. And what's pretty cool is if you don't want to do anything else beyond that, hey, now if you're in scholastic action shooting, your whole team or the squad that you're on can train on all these targets. So you don't have to do anything else. You just start shooting and it will calibrate for it. Well, what I'm going to do, because I'm a lazy guy, but because the developers actually did a pretty cool feature, if you have it here, it's a selection called remote control.
Yep.
And I'm going to
That's
just
what I
put
was
it
gonna
down
say
here.
too.
Go down here. Okay, I'm going to put it down here. And what remote control does, you want to tell them, Sam, as I get set up here, what remote control will do?
Yeah, so I was going to bring that up earlier. So yeah, what remote control does is if you're standing a distance away from the device you're using, instead of pressing that start and restart button the whole time, what that remote control does is it makes it so that you can just shoot that target and it will do that start restart for you, so you don't have to walk up to your device. Or if say you have an iPad or an iPhone or a phone or something on a stand with a mount, that pressing that screen can bump your camera and cause problems. So the best way would be to do one of those remote controls, and that way you can just shoot that real quick and start and stop that way.
Now, I just saw a question come up real quick, Sam, from Dumpling Gang again. Do you sell these DryFire training posters? We do. Actually, the only one that we have right now is the Scholastic Action Shooting poster that is for the substitute stages. It's in our store. I think if you go in there, you can buy this size poster, which is 3x5, and it allows you to stand, I think, 5 or 6 feet back, and it'll give you the same perspective as you would as if you were out on the range actually shooting this stage. And the other one is a smaller one. It's more convenient. It's the half size, so it's probably a quarter of the size or 1/4 of it. It requires you to stand, I think, 3 feet away. So it depends on how much room you have. I usually go with the larger posters because it just gives me a better perspective. But we do have those in the store. We're working on some other ones. And in fact, there's a survey out there right now for people who might be interested. Hey, do they want us to work on stuff for Steel Challenge? If you are, we're trying to find out how many people are actually looking at wanting to do that. So that's, I think producer Kathy pointed out the question there that we do sell those.
Yes, absolutely.
I do want to point out something. Now, Sam pointed out if it's overexposed or if it's too bright, you're going to get some type of orange here. So here's a case where the computer's telling you, hey, this target or this panel over here is way overexposed. And if you were to shoot at it with a laser, even though the laser is brighter than the light that's around it, it's not going to be able to pick anything up beyond that, right, Sam?
Right. Anything inside the orange, it won't be able to use as to detect shots. Like it's showing there's that message at the bottom of your screen, and it says the orange areas are too bright and cannot be used to detect shots. So, yep, that's exactly what it's telling you. It's even if you hit it here, the software is not going to count that because it just can't tell.
You just can't see it anymore. You've pushed the limits of the calibration on the screen or of the camera to detect another light source.
Right. And you do have, I mean, you've got grayish targets right there. And normally that color gray is decent to use. However, because if you're looking at that and you to the right, and I can see off the reflection of your whiteboard there,
right?
There's those windows.
Yeah.
And so that's blasting that out.
And that's a case where, oh, go ahead, Sam.
Oh, I was just gonna say, one thing I generally recommend, if say you have a brighter room or something like that, cardboard brown color works really well because it doesn't reflect a lot of light. I mean, granted, if you took a spotlight and blazed out that target, it's going to cause problems, but you would probably notice that a cardboard brown would it would be different than that lighter color.
And the reason I wanted to do this way, it's live, we're running into issues. It's the same way someone, if you subscribe to LaserX, it's the same type of issues you would run into because a lot of the folks who use it, they're in clubs, they're going from different venue to venue, and it's hard to predict what type of lighting situation there is. So I wanted to show that it's pretty easy to mitigate that, and there's a few things you can do. So I went ahead and changed the blinds or turned down the blind just a bit. Let's do a recalibrate to see if it gets rid of that orange. There we go. It cleared off that orange. So sometimes it's just a matter of changing the lighting condition. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it with a CERT pistol. I'm just going to shoot because I'm not super fast. I'm going to shoot what is exclamation on the top. So I'm going to hit shooting. And it's going to lock in those targets. Now there's a lot more. We have targets and backdrops the computer's going to try to analyze. and this is what we're going to see. So I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to put it on here. It's a little darker. I can you can see on the external camera from producer Kathy, it's a little darker, but the computer sees it just fine. So I'm going to go. I mean, you know, I don't know if I did setup, but let's try this.
Shooter ready. Stand by. Miss.
Oh, there we go. Blew that one. But also wanted to show that it shows the miss on your timesheet as well. So you can actually see it here. You can see the split times and the total aggregate time of your shot.
Yeah, and before you clear that out, Ben.
Sure, absolutely.
So one of the cool things about that timesheet is not only is it integrated, comes standard with the software, but it's interactive. So go ahead and click on shot 2 for me.
Okay.
So you can tap on that and it's going to highlight your shot, your second shot in orange, and you can select and customize that within the software, what color you want that to be. But that orange, so, and then you can go ahead and take a look in that diagnostic.
That's kind of crazy.
Movement.
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but still at the same time, you can see that you're still moving. You took that shot and you're still continuing to move. You can see the general gist of everything starting to graze towards the right, you know, the right. So, but you can click on those shots and it'll highlight them so you can kind of analyze what shot landed where.
Right. I'll do it one more time. In fact, let's do it by hitting the reset. So here I have the mouse close to my side, but I'm just going to hit that little sensor thing that we did here, that little restart.
Stand by.
So that's kind of the way to do it with those existing posters. So it's something we're looking at doing. It's something that we're looking at doing with other strings of fire or other stages, official stages. And the same way I can come down here. I'm going to do this other one. I'll just come down here and just shoot V for V.
Miss.
I shot it out of order too, so I'm going to get a big penalty because the center one's where I'm supposed to stop, that center gong or the center steel one. Now, one thing I did want to show, Sam, is a lot of people are seeing me use a SIRT pistol, and we love SIRT pistols. There's DryFire Mag. They produce a product as well. There's other trainers out there, but a lot of folks, they don't, they're just getting started. You don't need to buy a fancy trainer. It helps because the one thing about a SIRT pistol is it helps you. You can actually reset the trigger each time. You don't have to rack the slide, but it is an investment in your training. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you. I don't have a 9mm with a battery in it, so I'm going to use a 45. I'm going to put in a standard firearm, and we're going to make sure it's safe. I'm going to pull it off here. I have here a Walther PPQ 45. We're going to make sure it's safe. We're going to look in there. We're going to look at the chamber physically and visually, inspect it. I'm going to put the laser cartridge in here, and it's basically a cartridge with batteries in it that emits a light. You're probably not going to see it too well, but it has a light in there. I'm going to put it in the chamber. And again, the firearm is rendered safe and clear and safe, so there's nothing in there. And I'm going to let the slide drop onto the back of the cartridge. Now, I'm going to clear this out, and we're just going to look at one shot. So there's the laser cartridge. Now, if I want to shoot another shot, the difference between a SIRT pistol or one of the other trainers is you have to rack it to load the striker again, and then you can pull the trigger. But that's the one thing. If you're going for time, the laser cartridge is going to actually be a hindrance for you because you'll have to rack it. That goes into your time every single time you shoot. Whereas something like a SIRT pistol or one of the other ones, you don't have to worry about that.
Right.
Is that a safe thing to say there, Sam?
Yeah. And there is some, and we'd mentioned that before, I think in a couple episodes back, where say you have a cartridge insert, but your firearm, say you shoot a CZ75,
right,
you can actually just keep pulling that trigger because it's in double action.
Correct.
So some you can get away with it, but by and large, most of the time you're going to have to rack that slide.
Right.
So
I mean, like this one is a striker, right? So you're going to have to load the striker every single time.
Right. So it's always safest to assume that you will have to rack a slide if you're going to use an insert.
Right. And I think what's good about and I'm going to pull this out here. Usually it's just a matter because there's nothing else in there. I put a pencil in there and punch it out. It works for a 9 and a 45. Usually what's good about this is If you're going to focus really on your trigger and your side picture side alignment, there's no harm in using a laser cartridge. I mean, in fact, it's the best thing because what you're using your actual firearm and you're actually using your actual trigger. Whereas if you're now going actually for time, so if you're going to go for, like, for example, we're looking at scholastic action shooting, that's a timed event. You would actually really need to probably use something with a resetting trigger so you don't have to do that over and over again.
Right. Yeah. And I like using the inserts for like my concealed carry draws. Like that's primarily what I like using those for, is just so I can get that first shot off the draw and make sure that's set up really well. And then you kind of get the feel of your gun.
That's correct.
So.
And if you're fortunate, CERT does make a Glock, the Glock shape. They use an M&P, and they also have a SIG 320 model. Or so you have an M18 or M17 or a 320. It's a perfect fit. But that's one of the nice things about the CERT pistol. If you're going for time, you don't want to add that time of racking it in there because that'll defeat you in your purpose of training. So that might be a case where this in a laser cartridge is perfect if you're starting. And a lot of folks, you got to start somewhere. Sam and I, whether with the Marine Corps or the Army, we started somewhere. And probably the best way to do is use that firearm that you just purchased from the store and a laser cartridge and practice that way. That's the best way to best package you can do. I saw something from who is it? It came off the screen here. Anthony, he was saying best tax deduction I have bought this year. Anthony, tax deduction. How about a best stimulus check? Or I think most people end up buying guns with their stimulus check, right? They want their stimulus check chambered in 45 or 9, probably. Okay. Oh, and there's another one. I think Captain Waffles. It says, I live on an island. The program is great, but internet is a luxury here. Hard to do anything outside of my home. I'm a trainer, and that's limited. What is it? That's limited. Kind of rolled off here. And that's limited. Well, what is it? What we can say about that, Captain Waffles, is this is Laser X, and you're right. It does need internet. But Laser Classic, if you have a Windows PC or a Mac that runs, let's say, Parallels or Boot Camp, you don't need internet for there. The only time you'll need internet is to download the installation file. But then from there, you're running, and you don't need to have internet connection. And you can use that just like Laser X would, like you could with Laser X.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and I mean, and that even being said, I mean, yeah, Classic's a great thing for that. But the real important thing that I just want to like give, I guess, Captain Waffles kudos to is the fact that you're thinking about training and like in different environments. That's at the forefront of your brain, which is great.
Right. And there's another one I think I saw. Avery Smith. His comment was, let's see. My favorite combination is the laser ammo cartridge in my CZ75 PO7. So there's somebody with a CZ with your app. Your software makes training beginning pistol shooters so much easier for my business. You guys have the best software in the market as I see it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. You guys make, Avery, you guys are the best part of the Laser Nation, because if it's not for you telling us what you like or even don't like about it, there's no way for us to make it better. So I appreciate that. Thanks for those comments.
Yeah, and that also points out another good point, like, because it's great to always get compliments about our stuff, but we're also not going to get offended if somebody calls us and says, hey, here's something I think you can improve on, because we know we're not perfect. And so we want to be able to make that the best thing for the users of the software. And so we want to hear those. If there's, what you might call them mild insults or critiques,
Yeah, I would say now, if your comment to us or critique is your mama's ugly or something, okay, we might not let that sit on the Facebook page. But if it's a valid critique, we'll take it as long as we know how to reach out to you. Or even if we don't know, if you let us know what the issue is, there might be something that's already in the works. So, for example, and this is completely unscripted, we're actually working with a case where if you notice on the Laser X page, there's this export button. It's not something that you're going to see on your version right now. We're working on it so that these results, a lot of folks want to be able to export. I know in Laser Classic you can do it today, but a lot of folks want to be able to export the results and maybe keep a record of it. Or we have some law enforcement departments who are saying we need to have some auditing or accountability or compliance record so that we have officer training. Here it gives you a timestamp, it gives you a time score, so you have something to turn in. So it's something that we heard from other people when we were talking to them at some different shows or even through emails that they say we'd like to be able to export our results somehow so we can keep record of our improvement. So that's just one
Yep.
of the things we've done there. But I think we have one more comment. Anthony Arevalo, we have the Classic on our station. Awesome. I bought myself the X for home. And hopefully that's working out for you there, Anthony. And I don't know if you know X, the one thing that it does is it also allows you dynamic movement. It's not something we're showing today. It's probably something we'll do later on because we'll need a bigger room than a 10-foot by 10-foot home office to do this in. We'll probably do it out of this, the TV studio at Sam's location where we're actually moving. But you can go from room to room with multiple cameras so that rather than just clearing your bedroom, if something were to happen and you wanted to practice moving through your house to get out or to engage contact, if someone was in your house, you can actually get that feel of what it's like in your actual living room or bedroom or coming down the stairs. It's something we're looking at doing. Oh, one more. Let's see, Captain Waffles, and that makes me hungry. I'll tell you the name, Captain Waffles. I'm thinking chicken and waffles, but can you do multicam with Laser Classic? I'm a trainer instructor trying to do more or my students without them coming to my home. You know what? Unfortunately, you can't do the networking capability in Laser Classic like you have in Laser X, but, and I got to give kudos to Don Gula, who is from wrestling. We met with him. He's an instructor, and had been in a couple of our videos. He's a techie guy, and he tries all these different cameras. He has done it where he's bought a 360 camera, and there's a bunch of things here. Like, for example, there's this product. I'm not trying to plug it specifically, but there's a camera here. It's a 360 camera. If you plug it into Classic, it actually allows you to use the entire room and put targets on the wall so you can move around. And as long as it can see it and you can draw the target around it, it will detect the shot. He has also a fancier one. I think it's an Insta360 camera. And that's it's almost like I'd say it's a better version than the GoPro because the GoPro doesn't allow you to do webcam, but Insta360 will allow you to do the same thing. This one has to be wired, and it's also a more like a conference type of camera, but it's something we geek out with technology all the time. Yeah, but 360 does help, and you can use that with Laser X or Laser Classic, but for your situation, Laser Classic, the 360 cameras do help. And this one, I think, you go to Best Buy or one of the online stores, I think it's like $99, this one here at least, whereas the Insta360 is about $400.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, 360 camera makes sense. Good deal. Good deal. It gets me out of trouble when I'm buying electronics and my wife tells me, hey, what's that for? Again, it's like buying guns, electronics and guns. That's tough. Any other questions? I know we overran. It's a lot longer than we did before, but hopefully it gives you a little picture as to what you can do with your with Laser X and what you can do with your laser cartridge and your own handgun or a short pistol, as well as posters versus just setting up targets. I know it's different from shooting a light switch on the wall or a paint chip on the wall. It kind of spices it up just a bit, but it also gives you it pushes you to the next level where you can do more with your training. So Sam, before we go, I think what's this? We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. I'm bad at that. So if this is kind of cool for you, go ahead and like it and let other people know about it. And we're also on Truth Social. I like Truth Social because all this news that you're hearing going on, we've got a pretty decent sized tribe there at Truth Social. We're trying to build that too. But we're on Truth Social as Laser, LASR, and on the other ones, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, it's Laser App. So that's where we're at. Oh,
yep.
One last question. It looks like Dumpling Gang had this message. It says, what was that? In a previous episode, Sam looked super cool. I liked his hair. No, he didn't say that. I said, in a previous live video, you have mentioned that the infrared not being ideal for the Laser X app. Is it just because of the camera or iPhones and tablets? You want to take that one, Sam? Because that's usually a question you get asked about when infrared.
Right. Okay. For the Laser X app. Yeah. So we do have an option that you can use infrared with Laser X. You just have to have an infrared camera. The problem of trying to use phones and tablets with infrared laser devices is those cameras have built-in IR filters. So they're meant to block out that light altogether. So they're not even going to see it most of the time. So that's not something that we would, advocate to work because it just more than likely won't. And Ben is going to show you that. Go up a little bit there, Ben. There you go.
There it is. Sorry.
There you go.
It changed
So
from orange to blue. We've actually made a blue camera, and this is if you're going to use it. Sam has actually started producing these in blue, where if you wanted to, this is what you would need to do infrared. And if you're doing Laser X on a laptop or something with a USB port, I think this is what you'll use. This is what you
Right, and that's a good point, because it's yes, on a computer, if you're going to run infrared with Laser X, you need to do it on a computer, because we don't know of any reliable way yet to hook up a USB webcam to a mobile device. And so even if there's a way to do it yet, by all means, if you guys know of one way, let us know. But as of yet, there's nothing that we would put out there as saying this will absolutely work. And so we're not about pushing something out there that might work,
right?
If that makes sense.
So yeah, into Avery's question, can you put a post on Facebook page about the 360 cameras? Absolutely. We'll let you know what Don's been using and what we have here, the one I just showed you. We'll send you a link as well. So that's awesome. I'm glad you guys are asking those questions, because that tells us you're thinking about a different use cases, and we love hearing about those. And let's see here. Last one I think is we did the links. Yeah, that's really it. So as you come out to if you come out to the NRA convention, come look us up. I think we're I think it's booth or location
4833.
4833. Oh, there we go. 4833. We're going to be there this next weekend. We might be doing something a little different. We might actually have a couple more stations out there and working with other folks. But come pay us a visit. We love to talk to you. That's the best place we get input from you all. So, Sam, I think typically we'll sign off at this point. Thanks for joining us today. And again, if you like what you're seeing, you were trying to get a feel as to what content you want to see, post it on Facebook or on either social media channels, and give us a like so that we actually can push the algorithm a bit more to get it out to other users who are interested in the same questions. But I think what we say at the end is like train safe, train smart, and
train often.
Train often.
And go get dumplings and waffles, because Captain Waffles in the dumpling gang made us hungry.
There you go. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you again next week. Take care.
All right. Bye, everybody.